was born during the Great Depression, and we were, like everybody else, we were poor. I didn't have a father, and I lived with my grandparents, and then along came World War II, and all of a sudden I found my uncles and everyone I knew was in uniform, and it was a patriotic spirit, I should say, more so than any other time that I can think of, and I become, I don't know, so excited. All I wanted to be was a soldier, I guess. So at age 17, I joined the New Jersey National Guard. I became a rifleman on infantry. As soon as I turned 18, I was 18 in March, and then in May of the year I turned 18, I got discharged from the Guard in the morning and sworn into the Air Force in the afternoon. I went to Lackland Air Force Base, went through training, and lo and behold, I was one of those that they picked to become a flight sergeant, so I ended up training basics in 1948, and then when I reactivated Shepard Field, Wichita Falls, Texas, in 49, I went up there and I put the 33rd Flight to there, and then I went from there. I went to tech school at Chanute. I became an aircraft engine mechanic for a period of time on B-36, and then I evolved into what they called maintenance control, and eventually ended up as a management analyst, which prepared me, I didn't know at the time, for my teaching job, because I was learning to run an office, procedures, filing, typing, and all the things that I needed eventually, and I didn't know at the time, and I was getting that training. So that's how it all started. Civil Air Patrol had three branches, predominantly search and rescue, both air and land. And these are the people, if you get stuck out there in the snow and they need help, they might ask CAP. Or if you go down in an aircraft, search and rescue, the air arm of CAP will be out there looking for you. The other aspect is cadet programs. This could either be a pure cadet squadron or a mix of cadets and seniors. So that's the development of the persons in the academic phase again, and they learn all kinds of stuff: navigation, search and rescue, first aid, all things that would help them not only in CAT but in everyday living. And the third aspect was where I would fit in: aerospace education. And that pertained not only to the cadets but also the senior members, to give them a background of where we began during World War II, chasing submarines, actually with the little Piper Cubs, up to the point where we are today, where we are available, or I should say they, as I have now retired, they are at Air Force's beck and call should they need that arm to go out and look for people. I left as lieutenant colonel. I had actually I jumped a couple of ranks when I went in, because I had my teaching certificate, and I had my 20-some-odd years experience in the military, so I actually was awarded a captaincy when I went in. And then through educational classes, what they call ECI, through on-base classes and having to attend the Air Force Academy for training, I was able to work my way up eventually to major, and then finally to the rank of lieutenant colonel. I was a Civil Air Patrol cadet in 1946. when I was 16 years old in Punta Lakes, New Jersey, but those records have been lost. So, and then I rejoined CAP in 1973 when I started teaching. So it was sort of an odd situation. I would wear a senior master sergeant uniform during the day, and then I would go, and sometimes in the evenings or weekends I would be in an officer's uniform. At Lowry, and then eventually over at Buckley. So it was sort of like a chameleon that I would transition from being an enlisted man to an officer. So it was quite an experience because I was on both sides of the fence. When I applied for the teaching job, I was told to go to what is now the little schoolhouse on the corner of 80th there. And I was told to go in and see this gentleman. I didn't know who he was. Come to find out, he was the superintendent, Ira C. Ranham. So he come out and greeted me. He shook my hand and said, "Hey, you want a Coke?" So he bought me a Coke, and we went into his office and sat there, and I thought, my golly, this is pretty neat. Superintendent greets me this way. So before I actually got the job, I had to compete against two other men. And one of them, I guess he didn't like the waiting around. He pulled himself out. And I had this fellow I was competing against, and I really thought he had the upper hand, but Fred Jargus was principal at Ranham at the time, and he's the one who had to employ me. So I was waiting to get my interview, and my wife, who's Dalesio, departed this world now, kept saying to me, "Now don't annoy him." I said, "I'm going to call him." I said, what could happen? I said, "I don't have the job yet." So what could he say? That you don't have the job? I don't have it now. So I did call him twice, and finally he told me I had the job, and I felt pretty happy about it. And then I thought perhaps he realized that I really did want to teach, and I felt like it was something that my aunt was doing. My daughter's a teacher, my daughter-in-law was a teacher, and I felt like I wanted to see if I can contribute something. With my background experience I had in aerospace, I felt that it could possibly work. Well, it must have, because I stayed for 20 years thanking all my past people, Larry Balsam and Don Roder and Don Critchfield and Ronnie Fajita and Steve Eves, Vic Metz, all the neat people that I've worked with and helped me along the way. And I feel that we were proud because our students were quite successful. And to this day, I get phone calls and have students come by, and either that or I meet them and we have lunch. So I feel that it was worth teaching just for that privilege right now. One of the things I didn't mention before about when I started my teaching career, not only was I completely new, but the Vietnam War was still going on. So we were in Air Force uniform. Therefore, a lot of people looked at us with cautious eyes because they were wondering if we were going to just try to get people to do things they shouldn't or something. I don't know. I had just returned from an overseas assignment. I had been stationed on the island of Taiwan with a C-130 unit. I lived in the city of Taichung for 13 months, and I was a temporary duty a couple of times into Vietnam itself. So it was quite interesting, and knowing how people felt, Colonel Vic Metz and I tried everything we could to make sure that our teachings was strictly academic so that we could help students. And it must have worked because we turned out quite a few officers in all the branches of the service. As a matter of fact, it wasn't too long ago, I got a phone call from a young lad. He was in Indiana, and he told me he just retired from the Marine Corps as a master sergeant. So I said, for gosh sakes, you did 20 years? He said, yes. And I said, well, fella, you're getting old. Just because I'm 80 now doesn't mean I'm getting old. My students are.